Yeah, so we'll go ahead and get started today. So we're still seeking chair-elect nominees. So it's an excellent opportunity to get more involved with the community. So please consider that for the rest of this week. And we really really appreciate all the participation in everyone attending, and especially the presenters for contributing. It's been I know how hard things are, continue to be, to just get our jobs done, and so sharing with the community and taking the time to make presentations and participate in the chat is greatly appreciated. Really, we can have a more normal RVTEC meeting with seeing everyone and all the networking, so we can keep looking forward to that. So I think that's all the announcements for now. I can pass. Brandy had a few things, I think, and yeah, then we'll get going.
I do. I'm going to share something real quick. So as our last introduction meeting this morning, I just wanted to take the time to thank Lee for his contributions to the RVTEC community as chair for the last 3 years. Lee's drive and guidance has been a massive contribution to the fleet's cybersecurity efforts. He's been an advocate for the value of our technicians' time and capping the ever-expanding responsibility list for our technicians. And much to the benefit of our community, Lee has been generous of his time. And for that, we just wanted to express our sincerest thanks and appreciation. And the good news is you can't go very far. So.
Oh, thank you very much, Brandy. I appreciate that. It's
so you'll be getting this in the mail, framed and pretty.
Excellent. I appreciate that. It's been great contributing to the community. I appreciate the help from everyone that's helped out in working groups and for meetings. And yeah, I think I attended my first RVTEC in 2000. So I look forward to continuing contributing to the community in any way I can. So that's great.
We'll be calling on you, Lee.
Yeah, don't change your number anytime soon.
That's right.
No changes. You know where to find me. So I think our first presentation today is Alice with MFP. Is that
right? That is me. I'm going to share my screen here.
Okay. Real quick before we get started, let's if we're not presenting or speaking directly to the meeting, let's be sure to mute ourselves so we can reduce echoes and background noise.
All right, can you see the right thing? All right. So I've given this talks about MFP a whole bunch lately, and so I gave a pretty detailed talk, about 10-15 minute talk at the annual meeting discussing like where we are, and I don't want to repeat any of that or any of the stuff we've done before. My biggest focus today is just kind of going to be introducing MFP yet again for those who haven't seen it real quickly, and then going to a quick demo so you can at least navigate and look around. So yeah, I did create a community link in Kouba, and so I put a bunch of links in there that you guys can use or resources that you can use. So, so what is MFP? Marine Facilities Planner, and it's we talked about it as being a replacement for STRS, but really it's a lot more than that, right? It's the whole bunch of modules that are integrated together that do everything from, accepting ship time requests to scheduling, to cruise planning, to crew and inventory management. And the big thing to keep in mind, this is used around the world now. It's originally created by a Dutch software company, and it's used by several other research vessel organizations that specifically plan cruises for science, right? It's not something for commercial, for container ships or anything like that. So it was built for research vessel planning. So which is a great feature. So next one, these are just, I'm not going to go through these in detail. Green means they're pretty much out there and ready to go. Yellow means that we're working on it, and red means we haven't even started with it yet. And so these are all the modules that could eventually be available, depending on who you are, within the system. And the system works on what they call workflows. So a PI would enter their ship request here, and then once they put submit, it then triggers a workflow here in scheduling, and it can be scheduled. And once the schedule publishes a schedule, it creates another project management or cruise planning workflow, and could also trigger these other, equipment planning and technician planning. So again, everything is integrated, which is pretty cool features. And then we have this research planner over here, which is a way, it's a way to help plan cruises. We'll go over that real quickly. And the reporting module is one I'm kind of excited about, only because it's going to be an easy way to get super cool reports out of the system. Eventually, we'll also have an app or an offline functionality specifically kind of for, it'll integrate with everything, but also the inventory management. So the developer gave a real detailed presentation on inventory management last year at the RVTEC meeting. So I put a link to that in the community session, but we're still kind of in the early stages of that. All right, the first thing I wanted to show you guys is that, so this is mfp.us. This is our website, right? And you do not need to log in to view the schedules. So everyone can see my screen, right? So there's this schedule button up here. I haven't logged in. I click schedule, and it brings me to this page here. So what you're looking at here, this is a map, obviously. And what it's showing is the ships that I have selected from this list and the projects on those ships from that list within this time period that's here. So you can select a different time period if you choose to using the calendar. You can select a different length of time period. So that's what these are. So if we kind of zoom in, you can see these projects over here. We've got the Sikuliak has a project, this Robert Cohen project. This, unfortunately, we've already been told that, like Scripps has 3 different vessels, so we're not exactly sure which vessel this is associated with, but we are working on clarifying that information. So again, it's the projects that are on the ships that you select in the time period that you select. So a neat thing about this map is over here in this top left corner, we've got these layers. And so this Gebco layer is actually bathymetry. So it shows all the bathymetry in the area. And then we have EEZs and marine protected areas that are already in there. So you can see all that. And one of the coolest is the ship tracks. This takes a little bit to load. So there we go. So here, the cool ship track to look at is up here. You can see the Sikuliak has gone almost up to 80 north in its previous cruise. So again, these are the ship tracks of the ships you select in the time period that you select, okay? What's next? Let's go, if we click hybrid here, well, I'm gonna just do it here. Okay. These, we see the ship schedules that are published for the ships, again, that we select in the time period that we select. So let's change our time period because we know most of our schedules, we're getting there with 2022. So I want to see the schedules from January 1st, 2022 to January 1st, 2023. And so here are all the ship schedules that are published so far. So some neat things here, you can mouse over the cruise and you can get the port information. And if you click on the project, you actually get the request form over here on the right. And you can see what the specific equipment that they've requested on their ship time request. This isn't the cruise planning yet. This is strictly their SME is what it's called now. So strictly their SME. So again, click on the project, and then you can see their actual request and all the information if you scroll down, and you can see the equipment over here also. What else? Oh, another one I wanted to point out. If you see here, some of these projects have a skinny little line underneath, and those are what's called, we're calling a piggyback project or an ancillary project. And so you can actually click on that ancillary project. Oh, not that one. There's obviously a few little glitches still. You can click on an ancillary project, and so you can see the details from that specific ancillary project as opposed to the main project. And that, oh, one other thing I wanted to point out, there are these different views underneath the ship name. If you click these buttons, you start to see more information about the schedule. So here you can see that this cruise has an interim port call in Honolulu, right? And if you click one more button, you can see that there are some more details about it, how many days, port dates, and who is the PI. Okay, so one thing I wanted to show you now is when I'm logged in. So this is a similar view, but right now, see over here on the top right, I am logged in. And so one thing I want to point out here is this button that looks like a stack of blocks, right? If you click that button, it shows you the various modules that are available to you. You won't have nearly as many as I do at this point, but we'll be working on that. But just know that that's how you navigate around. So to see the ship schedules, you click on schedule here. And what I wanted to show you here is a neat feature, which I will say about equipment usage. So you can use these cruise filters, and oh, you know what? I want to see every cruise that has requested a CTD. And so this then highlights all those cruises that have requested a CTD. And I could see this being very useful for the VN pools and the facilities especially. I will say that, anyway, if you're a facility operator and are interested in using these filters, I'm happy to talk to you about it. There was a little snafu on my part, the way we set up the SME, so it's not perfect for 2022, but it'll be great for 2023. So that's a pretty neat feature there. Eventually, when we actually have cruises going on, the current cruises will be featured over here, and you can click on it'll show the ship and then the current cruise, and you can click on that to get more information. All right, so we went to the navigation button, and the last thing I want to show you, because I don't have a lot of time, is the research planner. So again, here, and this research planner right here, okay? So I'm just gonna click over here because I already have it ready. And so what this is a tool for the scientists, but also a tool for you guys. Let's say you have to plan a cruise to do a multi-beam patch test or test your echo sounders or something. So this is a tool that you guys can use to plan that. So you can add sampling stations directly. If you click sampling station, you can click on here and add them, or you can actually import a set of stations. And here's one, select a file. So there's a template you can download, the PIs can download, and let's see, I have one in here, here we go. So you'll see, just a second, Nancy Rabelais, all of her stations are now uploaded to this chart. It's a little bit, there's a lot of stations going on there. So as part of this, you know, you can add a port of departure. It's thinking now. We'll say Cocodrie, Louisiana. And she's going to arrive back in Cocodrie, Louisiana. Well, it's taking a little time here. It's thinking, here we go. Cocodrie, Louisiana. And then you can do things like this actually shows you the sea depth at that location from the GEBCO data set. This obviously it's not perfect, but it's a pretty good assumption, you know, pretty good guess. You can change the ship speed by clicking on there. You can change if she knows she wants to be at this station for 10 days, she can click the days, or you could click the days and say, I want to be on there for 10 days and change these things, or you can delete stations. And so all of that, see, you can change just about everything here. And all of that comes together to give a total time. So it gives you an idea of how much time you need to do that specific project. So you could use it for your projects, or potentially for, you know, verifying cruise tracks for PIs, or if you're trying to, they don't, you know, you don't want to go to Cocodrie anymore, you need to go to Florida. I know that's mostly a scheduler's thing, but it's still, it's a good tool for everyone to use. So I'm going to stop my demo there. Like I said, I encourage you, just for the sake of keeping on time, I could talk a long time about MFP, but so the things that are coming up, we've got the cruise planning and project management. We're doing a detailed talk for a long time on Friday for the cruise planning specifically. And I encourage you all to be there because it's a super powerful module, and I think it could really be useful for all of you. We're going to reassess kind of the scheduling construction module and how that worked for us. We've already been working with inventory management with our CRV and hope to get that populated pretty soon so that we could make that available to the community. And also the big one for me is the reporting module. So that's available for everyone. So I don't know that we have time for questions right now, but put your questions in the community chat and I'm happy to answer them, or just even shoot me an email. That's all I've got.
Hey, thank you very much, Alice. It was a great summary. I think we'll move right along to Kate Kouba from OSU with the Tech Training Subcommittee update.
Hi, everyone. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Great. And I'm going to share my screen. Okay, we all can see everything? Awesome. Okay, hi, everybody. My name is Kate Kouba. I'm with OSU, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the Tech Training Subcommittee. We are a small but mighty group of people. We got a couple members. Currently, Brett Hembrough is leaving our group, so we are looking to fill that spot. So please send us some nominations, and if you feel like you would like to become part of our tech training community, that'd be really great. Yeah, and so kind of moving through what we're currently working on for everyone is we've been doing a quarterly Zoom chat called What Went Wrong Wednesdays, where we just informally talk about the problems that techs have been experiencing on the ship, new resources that they've discovered or have started to create. We've been pulling in subject matter experts to answer questions. We had Marsam. Paul gave a really nice talk in September, and coming up in November, we're going to have a chat with Ninsen. And then, as you heard during the multi-beam talk, Kevin Jerem is going to give a talk at the beginning of the year. So on top of using this format to have an informal discussion about things we've seen on the ship, it's also nice to just share stories, you know, pictures, and then also opportunities that are coming around. Some other things we're working on is a Did You Know series, which is via the mailing list. And it's just little snippets of things that you've learned that you might not know that the whole community knows. Gabe started this off with a nice little segment about PAR sensors and how those measurements differ between the PAR installed on your CTD to the one installed on the bridge of the ship. And so these are really nice resources that we can keep within the community and share and really kind of just build out what we know. And then finally, I'm happy to announce that we have the first day of the network training that OSU hosted in February of 2020, all done. So those will be uploaded to the UNOLS YouTube page. And I believe Brandy is putting a link to those videos on the UNOLS website as well. And then once all those go live, we will send out an email to the tech community letting you know that they're there. And we'd love your feedback on those. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to take a step back and talk a little bit more about feedback with the What Went Wrong Wednesday surveys we've been sending out. And those are a really nice metric for us to see where we can build out more training. And when we bring in these subject matter experts, it kind of gives them a little bit more background as to what the tech community would like people to talk about. So I know surveys can be a bit of a bummer sometimes, but I encourage you so much to fill those out when we send them. They're very helpful for us. And really all we want to do is make sure we're providing you with the best training materials we can. And then moving forward, we're always looking to create new training opportunities, but those things come from you all. So if there's something that you have struggled to find information on, please email us, or if you found things, let us know and we can make a little Did You Know series about it. We're still trying to identify training opportunities aboard the ship, and hopefully in the next year, as those COVID restrictions keep rolling back, we can do that. We are creating trainings for the ocean best practices, and they will be giving a talk as well. And currently there's 5 working groups working with ocean best practices with Kristen Beam and Katie Watkins-Brandt. So keep an eye out for those as they keep going. It's really quick. And then really just to sum up what we're here for you guys, and we want to create really good training materials. And we are looking for new committee members. So please send us your nominations, or if you yourself want to become part of the group, shoot us an email. Send us tips and tricks for the Did You Know? And then, yeah, come chat with us on the Slack channel here. Yeah, I don't have much. We're just really trying to make really good things for you all. And yeah, but we can't do it without you. So, you know, send us what you got.
Thank you very much, Kate. Really appreciate all the work the training subcommittee has put into this.
Yeah.
And just keeping things, I closed my agenda. Yep, there it is. So now we have the SCOAR committee, the presentation from Chris Zappa and Andrew Woogen.
Yes. Hello. Hello. Who's everybody? Thanks for inviting me to update you on what we're doing at SCOAR. Let me just share the screen here. Can you see that?
Yep, we can see it.
And
So for folks who don't know, SCOAR is a scientific committee on oceanographic aircraft research. So they're talking about aircraft.
which screen do you see? Right
We
now?
see the notes. We have the notes
That one.
screen.
You want that one,
There
right?
you go. Yep, yep. We
Okay.
got the right one there.
Great. So yeah, thanks again for inviting me. And Alice just mentioned that SCOAR is the scientific committee for oceanographic aircraft research. And the focus of this, so I just became the chair of the SCOAR committee just a few months ago. I was on the committee for a few years, for a term, and then cycled on to become the chair now. Luke Linnane cycled off. And so myself, Andrew Woogen, is also going to present a little bit today. And the focus I wanted to talk about was how can we expand the reach of the research fleet using autonomous and/or piloted airborne systems in support of ocean sciences. So kind of the goal today is to inform the broader community on the use of airborne assets in support of ocean sciences, in particular, coordinating with the academic research vessels. And I just want to highlight that SCOAR is available as a resource to RVTECs and PIs who are interested in adding such capabilities to future field programs. So we want to receive community impact from you and on the feedback of the best ways of implementation. So we welcome follow-up discussions about all types of UAS, not just small UAS, but larger drones like the ones you see above my head here. And that's something that Andrew and I will just briefly touch on later. We'll show a few different examples of what the uses are. And we also have ongoing SCOAR activities. One is, which we are always trying to develop a roadmap to make UAVs a standard capability on the academic fleet. So again, your input is welcome anytime. And also just start conversations with either through Andrew or myself or other people on the committee. So this is the charge of SCOAR, and I don't want to read the whole thing, but I do want to highlight one important part, which is the committee is, our charge is to promote collaborations and cooperation between facility operators, the funding agencies, and the scientific community to improve the availability, the capabilities, and the quality of aircraft facilities supporting ocean sciences. So the key thing is there, the cooperation between facility operators and the scientific community, I think is key. So a couple of resources. One, we have a website for SCOAR. This is the current membership. So you can always just, you'll have these available, this presentation will be available and you can have that information. So we have a number of academic and operations people involved. Normally we'd meet in non-COVID times, we'd meet once a year. But now we've been meeting kind of quarterly for a day meeting, which is remotely, virtually. So again, we want to promote the use of UAVs and piloted aircraft in support of research. One of the key things we've done up to now was develop an operations manual for the academic fleet that was approved or endorsed by the UNOLS Council. And the handbook is designed to provide detailed guidance on how to operate UAS from the academic research fleet. So if you haven't seen this or read through it, it's a manageable document, about 40 pages, but it goes through a number of things. And obviously your feedback is welcome. We should, we can always do newer versions, and it is always changing because the FAA comes out with new regulations and you always have to adapt. But in general, it provides general information about various UAVs. We try and go through a flow chart for decision making. So the science party and the operator institution as a tool to assist them with safe UAS operations. Goes through a timeline of when the PI should start planning the UAS operations, which is as early as possible to work with the ships in making a solid plan. And we go through requirements for breakdown of these three sections of planning and procedures and post-cruise actions. So that's one thing we've been doing is developing safe procedures or operations. But there's a range of UAVs out there. You have the small kind of octocopter type things. You have these catapult systems, you have hand thrown systems, and you have these also VTOL type systems. So I'm going to hand off to Andrew now, who's going to talk a little bit about the capabilities of using smaller drones with his experiences. So Andrew, I'll just, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I'll be quick. This is Andrew with the OSU Marine Tech Group, and I just wanted to highlight what Chris said, that our committee is a resource for the technicians in the fleet. So feel free to reach out to us if you need some support preparing for these operations in any way. And also, we encourage you to promote this technology, utilizing this technology in the fleet. I personally believe it's the future, and one tool that will be used quite a bit in our operations. And just this morning, we saw an email from University of Southern Mississippi for some unmanned marine systems. So it's moving forward, and we'd be wise to stay in front of it. There are issues that are related to this, and the biggest issue that we've had is deployment and recovery. It's challenging. It honestly, I think it makes my marine techs nervous to pilot off the ship. So that's something we're we're hopefully can find a solution for. And if you have any ideas, please pass them on. I know they make gimbal platforms where it can land on safely. Chris and I have briefly talked about possibly having beacons installed on the ship that's native to the ship that the drone can communicate with and land easier. That is a big challenge right now that hopefully we can overcome. Another not challenge but consideration is the payload and the logistics of that, and coming up with something that can carry a wide variety of sensors that folks may want to use. You can go to the next slide there. I just wanted to quickly mention a few things that OSU has used their drone for. We've had a couple of drones over the years. I don't know if you can see behind me. That was our first one, pretty outdated. We're now running a Mavic 2. It's an entry-level enterprise, and I'll be submitting an ocean instrumentation proposal that might get funded for an upgrade to ours. One of the reasons why we're going to be upgrading it is there was an executive order prohibiting certain types of drones in government operations, basically national security, China tech. So we need different technology, so we're not limited by that. But some things that we've used our drone for, we got some really good footage of sea glider deployment and recoveries. This here is a picture of us installing a new satellite internet system on the Oceanus. We've used it to monitor towed vehicles for R&D research, flying alongside the ship. You can go to the next one, Chris. We used it to analyze our pier for some significant pier upgrades we're going to be doing. And just recently, we used it on the ship to see biomass disturbance of the ship going through the surface of the water. And one thing to highlight is every single time we break this thing out and use it, the scientists love it. They love it. We put it up on display. They use it for their presentations, and there's all these ideas coming of how it could be better used. So I do think that there's interest if we can continue using it. And you can go to the next slide. This was our first flight many years ago. It's kind of neat. And you can go to the next slide. And this was a gray whale research. We did some testing, and you can see how we used the thermal camera on there. And the scientist was thrilled because you could see the shape of the whale under the water, which they correlate to measuring the size of it, and saved them a lot of work. I guess that's all I had. Again, we're here to support you. I encourage you to help promote this technology forward. And our future plans are to hopefully upgrade our vehicle to have a spare and get away from that executive order limitations and explore options for better deployment recoveries and that sort of thing. Back to you, Chris. Thanks.
Yep. Thanks, Andrew. How much time do we have left?
Don't have an exact. We've got a little bit of time if you want to have some questions.
Okay.
Something else.
I was just going to show some larger drones that I've been using. This is a vertical takeoff and landing type system, and we have so we can carry payloads up to 15 pounds. And the nice thing about vertical takeoff is that you just need a small area on the ship. And as Andrew pointed out, we use a dual GPS on the aircraft and also a ground-based station on the ship, so that the aircraft knows what relative to the ship at all times. So it's with a trained technician, it can land rather easily. And I just wanted to show you a movie of how it works. So this is from the Falcor that we did back right before COVID's hit, but there's a UAV on the back deck. There's vertical takeoff, and then it switches to fixed wing flight. And these things have endurance of up to 8 hours. We can fly 2 at a time. We actually telemeter all the data back, so everything comes back in real time, which allows you to kind of, as I was saying, extend your view of the ocean and allows you to target features and then take the ship to where you want to go, as opposed to waiting for something to pass by you for those kinds of operations when you don't have a fixed location. And as Andrew said, we build payloads to specific to what the scientists need. And this just talks about what I just mentioned in that video. But we have this long range capability of telemetry where you can fly the aircraft actually 50 nautical miles away from the ship and go out and search for things and then come back, which is really something really useful. And you can all see it from your little command station. But you can go out and look for things like this, these slicks, these regions of algal blooms or cyanobacteria. For this cruise, we found it with the UAV. It was 10 nautical miles away, and we were able to take the ship over to where we wanted to study this in depth. So it's really a useful tool. And this is just what some of the, on the left is the color picture, the ocean color of that bloom, and then on the right is what the thermal signature looks like. But that'll be the end of my discussion, but just to give you a sense of what UAVs are capable of and engaging in a conversation to, make these more accessible on ships and make them safer and easier to use for everybody. So I'll just leave it there.
Great. Thank you very much for the great information.
There's one.
Please reach out, everyone.
There is a question in the chat.
Oh, go ahead.
The question was, what's the flight time, battery life? I think I'm not sure which one
So for the large ones, the flight time is 8-hour endurance or more. So 8 to 12 hours, depending on what your payload size is. So when I said roughly our payloads are roughly 15 pounds. So 15 pounds, we'd have an 8-hour flight time. The battery life is only required for vertical takeoff. The fixed wing part is gas, fuel powered. Gas powered. Hope that answered your question.
Yep, great.
And then Maximilian?
Yes, hi, great stuff. Has it been considered, or has this technology been used in ship emergencies, such as man overboard, or lost equipment that's floating around somewhere out of sight?
We have not, but we definitely could. I think, Andrew, that may be something more useful for a smaller drone, I would think.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, the thermal camera on there would make, SCOAR, search and recovery much easier. So we haven't yet, but that makes a lot of sense to me. It's a good suggestion.
It seems always, if you can make a solid safety argument, you can, get some easing on the restrictions from the federal side.
And then let's get one more question from Ethan, and then we'll move on to the next presentation.
Thanks. Yeah, my interest was piqued when you said 8-hour flight time.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask about the other kind of SAR, synthetic aperture radar. Has anyone looked at that for these types of drones? It is the best way for remote sensing of sea ice. So it's something I'm very interested in.
So to answer your question, yes, there are. We have looked into getting a SAR payload, and there are off-the-shelf mini SARs that we could integrate into the payloads that I was showing you. So yes, they're out there for sure. And it's something you could integrate into a UAV payload.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can feel free to keep the conversation going in the community chat for this session.
Yep. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate it.
And next up, we have the MATE program with Maria Ashidash, and she will be presenting here.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you can all see and hear me. I think Brandy's going to help me with my slideshow.
Okay.
Thank you for the reminder, Maria. I forgot to pull that up.
If it's not too much trouble, thank you so much.
Share. And go to the Zoom. Sorry, I have a lot of windows open this morning.
No worries.
Share. Boom.
Appreciate the help.
Boom. Can you see that?
Yes. Wonderful. Okay. So good morning again. Thank you all so much for inviting me. It's so wonderful to see you and to be able to connect to everyone in this great community. For those of you who don't know me, who might be new, my name is Maria Osiadacz, and I'm the coordinator for the Mate at Sea internship program. The program is run by the Marine Advanced Technology Education Center, which is in Monterey Peninsula College in Monterey on the Central California coast. And Deidre Sullivan is the director of our program. Next slide, please. So to offer a little bit of background about our program, the Mate internship program started back in 1999 with a grant from NSF partnered with UNOLS. And it was created to help meet the demand for skilled marine technicians while giving women and underrepresented minorities more opportunities to learn from experienced technicians and other crew working on research vessels. And more recently, in 2020, our program was significantly impacted by the pandemic. The majority of our internships were canceled for 2020 and 2021. But we were able to convert some to land-based or dockside work. And in May of 2021, we were encouraged by our NSF director to fund more land-based opportunities. And as a result, there has been an increase in interest for hosting those kind of marine technical land-based internships. And we're planning for those type of internships in 2022 as well. Also in July of this year, we were given permission to have 3 interns on board the RV Atlantis. So in 2021, in total, 4 internships were completed. 1 was land-based and 3 were at sea. And I'll introduce those 4 interns in just a moment, but I wanted to also announce that we are planning for a full year of internships for next year. We hope to plan a long-term internship, which can be approximately 6 months, hosted by 1 organization or even 2 on 2 different ships. We are also hoping to do placements for 10 to 12 short-term internships, depending on the length. Each one of those short-term internships can last anywhere from 4 to 16 weeks each. And if they are shorter internships, then we might be able to do somewhere between 12 to 15 of those. And there is a new announcement for 2022 on our website listing the requirements for applying and a link to our application form. The list of requirements on that announcement includes COVID protocols that state that proof of COVID vaccination may be required. Taking COVID tests before travel may be required, as well as taking additional tests before boarding the ship, and maybe even a period of quarantine before boarding the ship. So that applicants understand that those are the conditions, that are part of the application process. And as we speak, applicants are already working on their applications, contacting me, submitting their applications. So there is a continued interest, and I'm very excited about that. Next slide, please. So to introduce our talented and very strong interns for 2021, all 4 were hosted by Hui. And Angeline DeLuca, pictured here, she completed a 12-week land-based internship working on the Alvin upgrade. She is currently working as a power generation technician for Cummins, and she's a very experienced and talented electronics technician. But as a result of completing her internship at Hui, she really wants to transition to the marine engineering field, and perhaps even returning to Hui after she completes her education if the opportunity arises. And she's particularly interested in pursuing her QMed certification and is currently working on that as well. Next slide, please. So there were also 3 interns who completed 5 to 6 week internships at sea. This was on board the RV Atlantis. assisting with its midlife refit in preparation for the science verification cruise. Charisse Figueroa, pictured here, was one of those 3. She is currently collecting marine species data with the Alaskan fisheries on the Bering Sea. And she's also looking for additional work in the marine technical field. Next slide, please. The second intern on the Atlantis was Grace Fulton, pictured here. And I'm happy to announce that after she completed her mate internship, she's been hired to join the UNOLS Tech Pool, and she'll be working on the Sally Ride soon as an eDNA sampling technician conducting a pilot study. So congratulations to Grace on that. Next slide. And then the third intern on the Atlantis was Bella Lax. She has returned to CSU Maritime Academy to finish her bachelor's just since completing the internship. She wants to work at sea in hydrographic surveying, is pursuing her certification in that area, as well as looking for work in the marine technical field. And all 4 interns, they worked really hard, followed all the required procedures, including COVID protocols like providing, vaccine, proof of COVID vaccine, and taking COVID tests whenever required. And they completed their internship successfully. So it was a good year for them. Next slide. So I also want to mention that our NSF program director, Lisa Ram, recently introduced us to Dr. Liliana Montoya, who is the internship coordinator for the in the Naval Architecture and Ocean Engineering Department at the U.S. Naval Academy. Lisa asked us to explore potential options for MATE to assist placing Naval Academy students on board UNOLS vessels to complete 4-week internships. So we're looking for potential hosts for 1 or 2 internships in 2022 to see if the opportunities available are a good match. Naval Academy students would ideally join cruises that are departing from continental US, that support science missions, and that can host interns for 4-week periods during their specific summer term blocks, which last from May to August. I do want to point out that that Naval Academy students I typically return to school after internships to complete their degrees and serve 5 years in the Navy or the Marine Corps after graduation. So they may not necessarily apply for full-time employment with the UNOLS vessel right after completing their internship. However, they are very qualified applicants with desirable skill and relevant skills and training, and could potentially join the Marine workforce in the future. They are motivated and interested. And I also want to point out, people have asked if this pilot program would interfere with the MATE internship placements, and it's not. It's separate funding will be provided for this pilot program. If you're interested in learning more about this program, have any comments about it or advice for me, I'm still learning as well, so I would love to hear from you. Next slide. So I want to emphasize that a very important purpose of our MATE internship program is to raise awareness about and give interns an opportunity to experience the marine technical field. I know I've said this before, but over the years, we have realized that many students who are starting college, who are interested in ocean-related careers and working on board seagoing vessels, don't always know that being a marine technician is an option for them. But once they gain an understanding through these internships of the type of work that's involved, many are likely to pursue a career as a marine technician. And we have seen many benefits to connecting interns with professionals at sea. Hosts not only get an extra pair of hands on board, but also someone who is enthusiastic about learning and hopes to develop a career in the field. Hosts can also be directly involved in training the next generation of marine technicians, have an opportunity to get to know interns to see if they're a good fit, and recruit new talent that have already received that specialized training through the internship process. Interns receive the opportunity to gain the hands-on experience that is essential for employment that they don't always have through completing their college coursework. They get a real understanding of what the work involves on board the ships and exposure to oceanographic instrumentation that's not available to them in the classroom. Next slide, please. I also want to emphasize that this program would not be possible without the contribution of organizations willing to host. So please consider hosting in 2022 or spread the word to those you think might be interested. If you are interested in hosting next year, we do have a host form that you can complete. It asks some questions about what you're looking for in a candidate. What you would like the minimum qualifications to be, any special requirements that must be met. We carefully match the candidates with the host's requirements and send a short list of the top applicants and application responses to choose from. I assist in the complete hiring process, including scheduling interviews if needed, checking references, making offers, overseeing all the pre-boarding requirements, and planning all the travel needs. Make pays for travel to and from the ship's location, any lodging needed outside the ship, and interns also receive a weekly stipend. Next slide. So in conclusion, I want to express thanks to the technicians and crew members that work with our interns. You really are excellent mentors and the very best role models. I know interns are extremely grateful for the opportunity to work with you. I also want to thank everyone at NSF and UNOLS for your support and hard work. Thank you, Brandy, for handling so much of this stuff. And my contact information and the link to the host form, as well as the link to our website with the announcement for next year and the application form are all on this slide. If you can contact me at any time, of course, with questions, email me, call me. But if anybody has any questions right now, I'm happy to take them if there's time, or I can do so through the chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maria.
Pleasure.
Yeah, we all, I know as a tech manager, we very much appreciate the MATE program.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Are there any quick questions? I don't see any, but there is the committee's topics for this session for in the community part of the app. I think with that, we'll end this session and take a quick break and be back for the next session.
Launch and recovery systems. It's going to be a good one.
Yep, sure will.